What week are we in?
Week 3, week trace.
All right, week 3. Before we get into Monday Night Football, there's just one thing. I think I'm just going to pick out one thing from the media that's been bugging me each week and see what you think about it.
I love that. I love
And
that
that's
idea.
the Joe Burrow versus the Lamar Jackson 0-2 talks, where the 0-2 talks surrounding the Cincinnati Bengals are, well, the Bengals are in a really good place, and they're trending upwards, and Joe Burrow looks really good, blah, blah, blah. And they got manhandled by the Patriots, and then they lost to the Chiefs kind of on a last second play, not like the Ravens did, but they lost on the last second. And then the Ravens lost on the last second play of the Chiefs, and they blew a lead to the Raiders. And I'm sitting here trying to understand why the narrative around the Ravens and Lamar Jackson and their 0-2 is flat turmoil, and the 0-2 around the Bengals is they're actually in a really good place, and this is like right where they want to be. We talk about it all the time, the Golden Boys. Joe Burrow's a golden boy, and that's the only reason why I could even slightly see why there's a narrative like this floating around currently.
Yeah, to be fair, I haven't seen any of this either side. But it's one of the least surprising things that
It
everybody's
sounds dead on. Like if
it's
you haven't
it
seen it, does that shock you?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It sounds accurate as hell. Um the Chiefs, I mean, the Bengals always play the Chiefs tough, and so there's that piece of it. The Bengals looked terrible in their first game and got manhandled by the Patriots, like you said. Um, the Ravens were 3 inches away from tying a football game week 1 and winning, and just folded a little bit down the stretch against the Raiders. A couple things that are a much easier fix, it feels like, than where the Bengals are. The Ravens, excuse me, have more talent on both sides of the football. I think they have better coaching than the Bengals on both sides of the football. Um, and Lamar Jackson plays better in the regular season than Joe Burrow when he's out there.
Mhm.
Now the Bengals do get T. Higgins back, which I think is a bright spot for them, but I don't. Other than the consistent Golden Boys discussion that we have, I don't understand why people would feel like it. Part of it's probably just recency bias. Like the Bengals were toe to toe with the Chiefs, and even though the Ravens were doing the exact same thing week 1, um, maybe that's what it is too. Like the Raiders blew a lead, but people are quick to forget that the Raiders were, like I said, 3 inches
Raven.
away from winning. The Ravens, sorry, were 3 inches away from winning that game week 1. So, like,
Yeah.
I think recency bias probably plays
It just
a
makes
role in
no
it.
it just makes absolutely zero sense.
I mean,
Like
no
at
matter where
all.
you're at, you
Like
don't want to start the season 0-2.
start 0-2, but like the narratives that like each team has like sparked just like make no sense at all. Like why is one so positive? Why is one so negative? Makes no sense to me in any way, shape, or form, other than the fact that like Joe Burrow just does no wrong in the face of the media.
I would argue that like they're probably right at the exact same spot, but as a non as somebody that has no stake in either one of these teams, I would feel better about the Ravens. Like they were both toe to toe with the Chiefs, and they both lost to teams they probably should have beaten.
For
So
sure.
I don't know. I don't know how else you can draw it up.
All right. Well, now you have to address the loss on Monday night to the Falcons. You
I do.
you I was trying to get you riled up in a text like after the game to get you pissed off, but ultimately this may have been one of the worst losses I've ever seen in my entire life. And um I think that when I was talking to you about like the Eagles in the beginning of the season, this stretch right now, like bro, if they go out and lose to the Saints this week, and we'll talk about that when it gets there, this entire organization might be in turmoil. And I don't think that's an exaggeration. It already started. Sirianni didn't talk to the team after the game. It was just the players. Like things such as that. And my main question before you address the loss is Sirianni doesn't coach offense or defense. He doesn't address the team. He doesn't do anything. Why the fuck is he in the building and why is he there? It makes no sense in any way, shape, or form.
I mean, I said it in the offseason, and I will continue to say it, that I don't know what he does either. Like,
Yeah.
at this point, it feels like him and Big Dom do the same exact thing for this team.
Just stand there. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's another thing, bro. Like the cut of like Sirianni talking on the sideline, the camera moving its angle, and then Big Dom still walking into the camera. Like these guys need to be stopped. Like they
so
have to be stopped.
the thing that like so I was listening to Part of My Take today, and they were talking about that exact situation. And Big Dom claims that he like doesn't want any part of like publicity or anything like that. I don't know how you would know like to move over. Like why does the camera moving 7 inches to the right or to the left like change where you're standing if you're him? And after saying like, "Oh, I don't want any part of like publicity or anything like that," like he said, the guys on Part of My Take said that he's denied going on there plenty of times, which that was their case as to why they believed he didn't want any publicity. But like,
He
it's
gave
human nature too to like want to be noticed and like want to be popular and want
gone too
people
far.
to, yeah, want to like know who you are. It doesn't make, when you are losing football games and your head coach doesn't do anything, it makes it look even worse.
Way worse. Now I would like to hear you need to address this law. First, actually, there's two things, and then I want you to address the loss. First thing, Jalen Carter disciplinary issues reportedly.
Yeah.
He sat out the first drive. What's that dude's deal? Second, the Jahad Dotson acquisition. As of right now, I get that we're 2 weeks into the season. It is completely fallen flat. If there was any time for that to be like a noticeable acquisition, it would be because AJ Brown's sitting out and he's getting an
Yeah.
opportunity for a little bit more looks, and Covey had like 6 catches. So
I know.
I
Yeah.
just like don't really. I'm worried about the Eagles. Like I have been worried about the Eagles. I've said it all summer long. And this was a really bad loss on Monday night. And just a big one was I was expecting Dotson to actually do something on Monday night, and he just didn't do shit.
Okay, so Jalen Carter, that whole thing, he was late to like some team meeting or event or something. I didn't even know about that until after the game.
Yeah,
And like I didn't even notice that he was out in the first
me
first
either.
drive. So I saw one tweet about it. I don't know anything else besides that. But probably not great when people are gonna. I would say Slay is like the leader of the defense, but like if you're one of the young, better players on the team and this is your second year, like with no Fletcher Cox on the D line, like you have to be a guy that begins to take over as like somewhat of a leader in that defensive linebacker type room, if you get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
And being late to a meeting is a bad look.
well, you're professional.
Especially, yeah. The Britton Covey Jahan Dotson thing. My only thought process for what like the lack of Jahan Dawson is he just doesn't know the playbook completely yet. Because last night,
He's a
and you're
first round
right,
pick.
yeah, but it's not like you're going to learn a whole new playbook in 2 weeks and be effective
I'll finish your point.
immediately.
Finish your point. I know
But
I didn't mean to
but
cut you off.
no, but what I was that would be like my only thought process as to why we haven't really we saw very minimal. I don't even know if he might have had one target, but
He had 1 catch. Yeah,
um because he would have fit perfectly in the exact situation that Covey was in. Britton Covey, I mean, God bless him. He did a good job, but he's why there's no reason that that guy should have had 8
He shouldn't.
targets.
He shouldn't even be on the field.
Agreed. He's really good at punt returning, and he did his job as well as he possibly could have in that scenario on Monday night. But that should have been Jahan Dotson. If you're gonna move, like normally in a game, that motion man feels like it's gonna be Smitty, and then AJ Brown is gonna be on either side. That felt like where you would put Jahan Dotson and then have Smitty posted up on either side. But yeah, that scenario last or Monday night was perfect for Jahan to step up and like take over more of a role as the wide receiver 3. And even with wide receiver 1 down, he still looked like wide receiver 4. So
my only pushback on like him not knowing the offense, it's just like, dude, like this dude was a first round pick. Like it's not like he's like a fly. It's not like it's like a flyer dude who like was a good third, like a good slot receiver on a team. Like this dude was a first round pick, highly regarded. They obviously didn't give up a ton for him, but like at a point, like I would like to see Jahad Dotson do something. And as of now, like I think that and I mean I could obviously get proven wrong, but where it stands right now through 2 weeks, I mean that deal's fallen flat. And we'll get to see him play a little bit more because AJ Brown's probably going to miss a month. And maybe we can revisit this conversation when the month plays out. And if Jahad Dotson just doesn't do anything, it would be like, okay, like that was probably not the greatest move of all time. The way it got hyped up.
I'm not even considering it 2 weeks. He's been an Eagle realistically like for 20 days, and like that first game he didn't even dress. So like I'm looking at it as, okay, this was his very first game as an Eagle. Obviously not a great first game, but that's kind of how I'm looking at it, as because he did get traded very late in the
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Let's revisit it when AJ Brown comes back.
Yeah, all we can do at this point is like he hasn't done anything. So
yeah,
right now it doesn't look great, but I'm not ready to like write him off by any means because they're going to need him. If AJ Brown is in fact out for multiple weeks, they are going to need him to step up and take over more of a responsibility on the offensive side of the football.
All right, now talk about the game. And apologize to me for saying Drake London touchdown was a bad bet. Plus 240. Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
That was a great bet.
I apologize.
That was a great bet. He was always going to score.
I was correct about Quinyon Mitchell, though. I think he did have a good game.
He had one
Darius
pass
Slice, just old as hell.
When he almost picked that off, when he almost picked that ball off and he would have housed it, I was gonna literally be sick to my stomach because I would have had to face you. But it didn't happen. So like it didn't happen.
I was literally screaming and jumping around like
exactly. Yeah, like it didn't happen though. So like we can't.
I know, but they just weren't even throwing at him a ton.
I mean,
I think they threw at him like 4 times.
But there was really no reason to. I mean, like the over top of the defense. First off, real quick before we talk about the loss, this is the same Atlanta Falcons team that everybody all week said Kirk Cousins doesn't have a leg. He's washed. They're not good. They laid a dud against the Steelers. They looked like they were about to lay a dud against the Eagles as well. And then they finally opened things up. I thought Bijan Robinson looked amazing. His acceleration looked insane from the time he got to the ball. He was getting like, I think he finished that game with 7 yards per tote. He just looked really good, really explosive, absolutely changed the game. The only issue I have with the way that the Falcons use him is he's so tired by the time they get to the red zone that they're not able to convert in the red zone. So that would be something that I would probably switch around a little bit because that's probably their best player. And
he absolutely is their best player.
You need to get him in the red zone and be active. Kyle Pitts sucks. He's not good. The fact that he was taken with the 4th overall pick is laughable. He's not elusive. He doesn't look athletic. Anytime he gets the ball, he doesn't look explosive. Honestly, it looks like me running. To like whenever he gets the football, he looks like me trying to take off. And I think that's really concerning. But yeah, that's from like the Falcons' point of view. From what I saw, I think that there's good things that they can take away from that game. I think they really needed that win to go into Philly on a Monday night prime time and go and win the way that they won was extremely important for them. So good for them and good for Kirk to start. They started the season on a sour note, but now they automatically turned it back around, which what I said when we previewed the game is if this team has the expectations that everybody hyped them up to be, this is a must win for them. And they went in and won.
Yeah, if you're a Falcons fan, I think you look at that win as a we stole it, but it's also a huge morale booster because you were
Huge.
dead. You were dead. I think it was like a 98% chance for the Eagles to win that game down the stretch, and they shot themselves in the foot.
Dude, you
So
you said that the Eagles like have like a bad linebacking core. Like I almost don't think that anymore. Like their linebacking core is like not bad.
let me I'll get into it. So I'll start on the defensive side of the ball and go from there. So I realistically don't feel bad about the linebacking core and the secondary. I think that CJ Gardner Johnson is going to be very hit or miss. Like we saw him give up that touchdown to Darnell Mooney, but then he came back and answered with that huge fourth down stop to Bijan Robinson. So he's a guy that the highs are high and the lows are low. So
He's given
I
up a lot of explosive plays already this season.
I am yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That is something that he needs to shore up, but he did end up making up for it down the road in that game with that fourth down stuff of Bijan Robinson. Um, I'm definitely concerned about this defensive line. I was when I texted you guys after the game, and as I continued to see clips on Twitter, Kirk Cousins was getting about 4 seconds before anybody was even remotely close, and he was getting the ball out like before 5. But that's because guys were getting open. It's insanely hard for these guys in the secondary and the linebacking core to cover for 4 to 5 seconds. They went out there, paid Bryce Huff. He's looked absolutely horrible. Um, they
I
get
said that.
zero pressure. They get zero pressure on the quarterback, and if that's going to continue the rest of the season, then they're going to have to hope that their offense is clicking on all levels because they're going to need to score 30 points a game.
Um, real quick, because you said that you're not worried about the secondary. I disagree completely. I think that you should be equally as worried about the secondary. They're not good. Slay is a shell of himself. He is not like he just isn't able to be the guy who he was, and it's not close. I think Quinyon Mitchell will be a good pick for them. Like, if you're gonna sit here and tell me, dude, Quinyon Mitchell is a solid Eagles starter for the next 6 to 8 years, I would and really good. I would say you're 100% right. But like right now, like you would need him to like overly perform, which I think that he's going to get better as the season goes on. And I think that, like you said, Chauncey Gardner Johnson, yeah, he made a play, but he also lost them the game. He gave up way too many explosive plays. He gave up two of note, two to Darnell Mooney, and no, it was to Ray McLeod, I think it was, and Darnell
It was.
Mooney, and it just put them in a position to lose the game. And their other safety spot, Reed Blankenship, I mean, that guy shouldn't be out on the field. It's just out of necessity for them right now. And I think with a mixture of the D line not being able to get pressure and a weaker secondary, I think that like that's a recipe for disaster, honestly. But I think that their linebacking core actually looks pretty like actually solid, like really solid. Like it turned around.
Let me rephrase. I'm less worried about the secondary than I am about the defensive line. I think if you start to get some type of pass rush and can figure out stopping the run a little bit more, it's going to make the secondary a lot easier. I mean, the Eagles had 1 sack, like, and have had what 2 or 3 through 2 games. Like 2 years ago, this Eagles team was ripping set. Like, what did they have? Like 20 some
Yeah.
sacks,
They're like
something
crazy. Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I think if they can figure out the D line, it will make things so much easier for that secondary. But we haven't seen that through 2 games, so I don't know what's going to happen. Um,
Talk about the offense.
yeah, okay. Offensive side of the ball. I also don't think it was the secondary's fault they lost this football game. I, I
Brother.
think. Hold on, no, I'm gonna say I think
At
not
the
being
end of
able to
the
stop
game,
Bijan Robinson, dude. Hold on. Hear me out. They couldn't stop Bijan Robinson that entire
yeah,
football game.
that's true.
Um, like you said at the beginning of this, he was ripping off like 7 yards every carry. That defense was very bend don't break up until that final drive, and then they just crumbled. I mean, up until then, it was they gave up 15 points, I think.
But that's
You should be able to win a football game.
but that's a good sign. Is like exactly what you're saying is a good point. Like the bend
Yeah,
don't break style of defense is solid. So I don't think it was Bijan obviously was doing damage, but they weren't able to convert in the red zone. But when it mattered most and you needed the secondary to step up, they got torched. Like Kirk
did you
literally
see the D
torched
line
them.
on that last drive?
That's fine, but regardless, they got everybody on that
They
defense got
did a
torched
hundred
by Kirk
percent.
Cousins.
100%. But I don't think at the end of the day, like I can't just sit here and blame strictly the secondary. I think a lot of it has to go on the defensive line.
And then
They've
lastly,
looked really bad in 2 games.
Slay got cooked on that route by Drake London. Bad.
He did. He
And,
did.
and that is like exactly what I'm getting at is like I know like I get what you're saying, but also at the same time, the secondary lost that game for them just as much as anybody else. Because when it came down to it, they couldn't do shit.
Okay. Offensive side of the football. Didn't look great in the first half, but the second half I was very, very happy with how they looked, minus um the the last series before kicking that field goal. I've been going back and forth on that third down play um, since Monday night. And if you were to tell me, yeah, all you have to do is rely on Saquon Barkley to catch this 3 yard flat route and you win the football game, I feel really good about my chances. But also this kind of goes back to like the Falcons and the Eagles were both just pretty much running it down each other's throats. And the Eagles' identity is we have a great offensive line. We have Saquon Barkley. We can run the football. That's a spot where you can, it was what, 3rd and 3? Go for it. Go for it. Run the football. I would have ran the football in that scenario and taken my chances with where I'm at on 4th down. But it's very tough seeing how if Saquon catches that, game's over, and we aren't even having this discussion about how bad the secondary looked to this extent. And the outlook of this and the feel of the Eagles probably looks and feels a little bit different. But I would have ran the football twice there. But like I said earlier, if you're telling me that I have to rely on Saquon to catch a flat route pass for 3 yards with nobody there was like nobody within 5 yards of him and he just dropped it. I feel really good about my chances there too.
Yeah, I think that's the easy way to look at things. I think probably the thing that Eagles fans and everybody should probably have taken note of is Sirianni is extremely inconsistent with his philosophies and like what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Not going for it sometimes on 4th down and being aggressive on 4th down at times. There were times during that game where they could have taken 3 and like you said,
Beginning the first quarter, I think.
yeah, like you were talking about the Saquon flat. We wouldn't even have to be talking about the Saquon flat because they nailed the field goals to begin the game.
Yep.
I think his inconsistent philosophies make absolutely no sense. And I think that that's something to be concerned when you're betting on the Eagles for the remainder of the season. If you just don't know what you're getting out of Nick Sirianni every single time that it's like 3rd and short, 4th and short, and what he's going to decide to do. From an offensive play calling perspective, do they just not like? Do they not trust Jalen Hurts? Like there's time that one touchdown he threw to Smitty, like that ball was on a rope. He looked really good. We finally saw him use his legs for once and like look explosive and fast. And then there's other times where they're still doing the bullshit screens. They're still doing the bad quarterback draws. Like, it's just so all over the place. And like, I just don't get it at all. And I don't know if you feel that way or if like I'm looking at it like too objectively, but like, why don't they allow Jalen Hurts to play his game? Why do they always try to like take him out of rhythm?
Yeah, I thought they did a much better job of that in the second half.
Yeah.
There was that first half, like the QB draw that you're thinking of. I hate that play. I think that what they need to do is like
Everybody in the building knew they were running that.
exactly. And
Like,
I said it before. I literally said it before we ran the play. I was like, oh, here comes a QB draw. They're much better off with like those counter run plays where you get a Jurgens out in front, or you get a Landon Dickerson out in front on those pooling style run plays, and Jalen's able to go from there. But when you're just empty set QB draw right up the middle, that's I hate that play call every
such a
time.
bad
It could
play call.
work. It could work for 30 yards, but I still won't like the style of it. And I think that they figured that out in the second half. Like, hey, we've got to get these guards and the center out pulling. And we saw much more success with Jalen running the football in that second half. He looked so much more comfortable and so much better um, from just an overall quarterback perspective later in the game than he did in that first half.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we can talk about this all day. Let's move on. Really bad loss. And definitely something to
Hurts.
monitor moving forward. Like, if they go out and lose to the Saints on the road, like, there's just the media is just going to start running with that shit, bro. Like, I can see it already.
They should. They absolutely
Yeah.
should.
All right, let's get into the Thursday night game. New England Patriots at the Jets. The line is 6.5. The over under for this game is 38.5, extremely low. The first thing that I want to say is like not even game related, but the Patriots look as of right now like absolute geniuses. Benching Drake May to start the season. You look at what all of the rookie quarterbacks have been doing to start the year, they all look so bad.
Yeah.
And they're all getting their dicks kicked in. And Drake May and the Patriots are playing in close games. Drake May's learning, sitting back, relaxing, and the Patriots are just playing in close games. And they look like a really good football team through 2 weeks. And we were both on this actually in the summer where we thought that they would play teams close and play above expectation, regardless of who was behind the helm. And my question to you is, when is it time to play Drake May? Or do you think that they just say, fuck it, let's not play him this year and let's start fresh next year?
I think we were talking. I think there was a certain point in their schedule where they come off a bye and there's like 5 or 6 games left.
Yeah, but it's a rough stretch. It's like the Bills twice.
Yeah, but realistically, you could be out. Like the New England Patriots could be out of playoff contention by then. I mean,
no doubt.
I think you just play Jacoby Brissett until
the wheels fall off.
The wheels fall off. Yeah. I don't think he's keeping these guys in games. Like they had no business winning against Cincinnati. They had
no business going to overtime with the Seahawks.
Yeah, they were in a very close game last week against Seattle. Like 2 games that nobody expected them to play out that way. And I think it's going to be close again against the Jets this Thursday.
I think so too.
There's been nothing on the Jets side of the football that has made me, on offense or defense, that has made me say they should be a touchdown favorite against the Patriots this week.
Yeah, no, I'm with you for sure. That's a great point.
I think you ride the Jacoby Brissett train until the wheels fall off, and at that point, figure out where you're at in the season if you still have a shot at making the playoffs. And if you don't, then I think that it's probably time and a safe time to put Drake May in, because the defense is better than we thought the defense was going to be. Defense
still
was
going
to be decent. the issue came on the offensive side of the football.
But
They
their
can
offensive
run the
line looks
ball.
good. Yeah, their
Yeah,
offensive line looks good.
they can run the ball, and Jacoby Brissett, it appears that he's had time to make plays, and that's two things that we did not have that high of an expectation for going into the season for the New England Patriots. So,
And then Hunter Henry and Jalen Polk look decent so far.
yeah, I think I wouldn't go and do it in the next 4 weeks probably, but maybe by week 8,
14 when they have
9,
the
10, 10, somewhere in there. Like if it gets really ugly here and they say they just lose like the next 7 games and they're 1-8, then I don't think it hurts to put them in there. Although I don't see that happening.
Okay, as for the game, I have no feel for this game. I'm not going to sit here and like act like I like want to see anything happen. I really don't care if either of these teams lose. When we get to our picks at the end, I have a pick for this game that I like. It's not a side or a total or anything. But the one thing, win or lose for the Jets, I need to see Aaron Rodgers cut it loose, and I need to see Garrett Wilson have a big game. If they can't do it against this defense, I'm going to worry, because you look at what the Seahawks did last week. JSN had a career game against them. He had 12 receptions, 100 plus yards. DK Metcalf had 9 receptions, 100 plus yards, and a touchdown. They threw it all over the yard. And if there is a time for the Jets to do it, like, it would be right after watching that Seahawks film and seeing what Geno Smith did, seeing what ticked for them, and how are they successful, and implement that into their game plan this week against the Patriots. So win or lose, they could lose this game outright, whatever. I need to see the offense completely cut it loose and look good.
I didn't get a chance to watch a ton of that game last week, but was the Seahawks game plan just basically throw it to
Air it
whoever
out.
Christian Gonzalez is not covering? I know he gave up a touchdown to
No.
DK, I think it was, but
I would suggest,
were they going at him?
No, they went at it. They threw it. If you look at the route tree and like for DK Metcalf and JSN from like next gen stats, JSN literally caught the ball in the middle of the field, on the outside, left side, right side, middle, like deep, like all over the place. Like, it was, his route tree last week was insane. DK Metcalf, same type situation. Like, they just were torching them. That's really the only way to put it. And
I was going to say, unfortunately, I don't have that expectation from Nath. I don't think Nathaniel Hackett is capable of doing that.
it hurts.
With this
That's why I'm saying I need to see it. I need to see it this week. But I'm with you. I don't have much faith. I don't have faith either. I'm with you.
And I also think you're just going to get Gonzalez on Garrett Wilson, no matter where he's at, and just deal with Kyle Duggar covering Alan Lazard and Mike Williams if he plays. Like,
yeah,
somebody else is going to have to step up. But that would be my game plan, is make somebody else on the Jets offense beat you. I mean, this could be a game where, I mean, we started to see them throw to the running backs a lot more last week against the Titans. It felt like Braylon Allen and Breece Hall had a good amount of receptions. So
Braylon
that could
Allen
be
had 2 receptions and 4 drops.
A lot of targets. But I don't know. I just don't feel great about this Jets receiving core. And if you're the Patriots defense and you have one guy that you feel really good about putting on a wide receiver and having him follow him around the whole game, I feel like you feel pretty confident as a Patriots defense.
Yeah, I think Garrett Wilson can win that matchup. He can win matchups against anybody in the league. So I'm not really worried about that overly. I'm not going to say Garrett Wilson's going to have 15 catches, 200 yards, and 2 touchdowns, but like, I still think that he can win most of his matchups in the NFL. I'm not really worried too much about that. Do you have any predictions of what you think this game's going to be this weekend, or no? Or on Thursday night? Because I don't really.
I think if it's any indicator of how bad this, I think if the Niners game was any, and I don't even remember what Tony Pollard and the Titans did run wise against them. Off the top of my head,
they didn't do that well. Tony finished with like 60 yards. Tajay Spears finished with like 20 yards, and Will Levis had like 2 big 20-yard runs, but Aaron Rodgers isn't a threat with his legs. So
Yeah. Well, I was going to say if I'm the Patriots, I just try to control the football as long as possible, keep it out of Aaron Rodgers' hands, just run the ball, stick to what's been
it's
working
their
with you,
motto.
working so far. Yeah, stick to what's been working. And I mean, we saw some vulnerabilities with the Jets against that Jets defensive line against the Niners. Now it's a completely different beast, but you can run the football on them. So if I'm them, I lean on Ramondre Stevenson and um, force somebody else, force somebody besides Garrett Wilson to beat me on the Jets. I also need to
Definitely.
see Aaron Rodgers throw to the right side of the field. Like I still haven't seen it.
Yeah. All right. Well, all right. Week 3 games. I have a few picked out here. I don't want to talk too much about it, but first game I'm going to start with Eagles Saints. The Eagles are 2.5 point underdogs in New Orleans. The over under is 49.5. This is Eagles get right game. They need it. And then this is what the hell are the Saints? Like if the Saints go out and put up 40 points again, then like I don't know.
I'm gonna
Maybe
shit my pants.
maybe we'll have to have a conversation. But like, yeah, that's just one of those games where it's like we'll see what the Saints are, and if the Eagles lose, they're going to be in absolute turmoil. So like, just a note I'm making on that game.
Yeah, I'll break my car window if
I
the
figured.
Saints put up 44 points. But with that being said, Alvin Kamara is kind of scary. He's looked great thus far, but I don't know how to feel about the Saints. Like we talked about this the other day about how the Cowboys have just like a fluke game at the beginning of the season the past couple years, and I don't. It just so happened to be against the Saints. I don't know how to interpret that game because I think Dallas is going to have a good defense throughout the rest of the season, and or maybe the Saints are just good as hell on offense. They've got a new OC, and he's just got it absolutely dialed
Well,
up.
they do pre-snap motion and play action now, so the best offense in football. Like apparently, I'm not
I
talking
mean,
about the Saints yet. I told you this already. I'm not talking about them yet. But if
I think my
6
biggest
games in,
concern
I'll
is
think about it.
fair. I think my biggest concern is Alvin Kamara. If you can keep him to under 200 plus all-purpose yards, I think you got a chance to win.
Nice, good point.
Otherwise, otherwise it could get ugly. I haven't seen anything on AJ Brown. I
He's
don't
not
know what the
playing.
verdict is on
He's
him,
not playing
but
for a month.
oh, then the Eagles are going to lose.
um,
I'm serious. This offense is not the same without AJ Brown, and
Eagles fans are in
he's that important.
turmoil. He's
He's
in
that important.
turmoil. Like you're literally shambles. You have Saquon Barkley and 2 first-round pick wide receivers on the offense still, and you're sitting here panicking. Like Eagles fans, dude, you guys need every best player in the NFL to have a shot. That's the red flag.
I
That's
don't
the
know what
red
you want.
flag with Jalen Hurts. It's like you need every first round wide receiver possible and AJ Brown. I know he's not a first round wide receiver to have a shot against the Saints. So
I would say this against anybody.
well, that's a problem then. That is a legit
The
problem.
Eagles' offense does not look the same when AJ Brown does not play. I think he's that important to this team.
We're done talking
He's
about the
gotten to the
Eagles.
point
We're
of
done
where he's
talking
as
about the
important
Eagles.
as Lane Johnson.
The next game that we're going to talk about is the LA Chargers at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I'm
The
glad
line
you wrote this
sits
down because I have this too.
the line sits at 1.5. The over under is 35.5. I mean, both teams are undefeated. Both teams kind of have a similar philosophy of like ground and pound, dog
Punch you in the face.
rock fight type style football games. Ultimately it comes down to like the Pittsburgh defense is more talented than the Chargers defense, and the Chargers offense is more talented than the Steelers offense. So it's like a weird matchup where it's like on each side of the ball, it's just like kind of a rock fight. But yeah, my first initial thought of this is like, one, I love the under. I think 35.5 is too high. And the second thing that I really like about this game is I don't know, dude. I just think the Chargers are really good. And I don't think that the Steelers are really good. And that's really what it comes down to. The Steelers stole 2 games so far this season in absolutely ridiculous fashion. And I think that luck runs out a little bit, and the Chargers take one and go to 3-0.
I wrote down here that this game is for the real football lovers.
Yeah, it is. It's gonna be
I
good.
think that I think it's just going to be just like you said, a rock fight. It's going to just be about grit. It's going to be about getting punched in the mouth. And I'm ready for it. I'm excited to see Joe Alt versus TJ Watt. It seems like nobody can block that guy, but it also seems like Joe Alt's going to be pretty fucking good for a long time in the NFL.
Joe Alt
So
delete.
that's Joe Alt delete, baby. So I'm looking forward to that.
So goofy, bro.
Um,
That actually made me laugh. I was like, that's funny.
I do have a thought here, and I think that if you like the Chargers to win this game, I feel like that goes hand in hand with the over.
Wow. Dude, I just feel like 30. I just feel like I really just feel like the Steelers can't score more than 10 points.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is if I think that if you like the Steelers, you take the under, but if you like the Chargers to win, I think the over might be the move.
But if the Chargers win 24-10, would that shock you?
No.
And that would be the under.
It also wouldn't shock me if they won 28 to 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, that's fair. I like the analogy. I like the under in this game. I think it's gonna be. We're gonna talk about it in our picks, but it might be my mortal lock of the weekend.
Okay.
No matter who wins. Now on the complete opposite sides of the spectrum, we have the Detroit Lions at the Arizona Cardinals. Right now, the line sits at 3. Cardinals are 3-point underdogs at home, and the over/under sits at 51.5. Complete opposite game. This game is going to be. We watch the Cardinals play. They move the ball, they score, they do their thing, and the Lions also move the ball, score, and do their thing. Obviously, there's going to be a clear discrepancy of the run game. Like the Lions are going to be able to run the ball down the Cardinals' throat. I think the Cardinals are going to be able to run the ball down the Lions' throat though as well. So with that being said, and I just completely talked myself into the under in this football game. Like so fast.
I mean, I think I'm gonna pick the over of every Cardinals game until proven otherwise. I think they have an elite offense. I think I think both these teams are going to be able to move the football. I think what did the Bucks go out? They put up like 18 points, and I think the Cardinals offense is significantly better, 20 points, and they're significantly better than that.
I'm right with you.
So I'm just going to go with the Cardinals and the over until further notice.
I'm right with you.
I think that this Cardinals offense is going to give the Lions secondary issues.
I think so too. And another thing, I think that the Lions' superpower is Hutchinson. And I think Kyler's escapability and his ability to just
play make
from outside of the pocket, I think he'll be able to avoid him. Like, I'm not saying he's not going to get a sack, but I think that like Kyler will be able to neutralize him with his feet. Like, so yeah, I'm right with you. We'll get into it when we talk about our picks, but yeah, I love the Cardinals this weekend. They have proven me up to this point. There's no reason not to love them.
Yep.
Do you have any games that you would like to talk about? I have one more.
I want to talk about this Texans-Vikings game because the Vikings are a team that almost go hand in hand here with the Saints, where are we sure they're good or not yet? We saw them go out there and beat the Niners last week, but it's so early in the season, and another team that's they're 2-0, and they're going up against the Texans who are 2-0. So I really liked what Brian Flores did against this Niners offense, and I think I think it's going to be very interesting to see the defensive approach against a very lethal Texans offense. I think that's something that's going to be interesting to watch. I mean, he held the Niners to 17 points. I know they didn't have CMC, but still holding that offense to 17 points is impressive. I think he's going
Are
to make
we
it hard for CJ Stroud.
are we gonna pump the brakes a little bit on the Texans hype on the offensive side of the football, or do you think that like not yet? Because they got boxed last week. Um and I think that like as of now,
I,
like the Mahomes and the CJ Stroud talk of like how elite their offenses are and how good they are, like is great, but like it also really helps that their kickers are able to nail 50 plus yarders. So they pretty much just have to get the ball to like the 40-yard line and they pretty much have a free 3 points. The Texans kicker has been like absolutely keeping them in games.
I'm taking that into account, but when you're a defensive coordinator, like you look at those guys on paper and you're like, okay, what is my game plan going to be for Joe Mixon, Tank Dell, Stephon Diggs, and Nico Collins? Like, which one of these guys are we going to give up and let them beat us this week? And
Are
we've seen
we
it be Nico.
are we like a panic button yet on Tank Dell?
Absolutely not. Why would we be?
He just hasn't done anything yet this season.
He's coming off a leg injury, correct?
Yeah.
So
And he
think
got
about
shot.
how correct. Think about how we talk about anybody coming off of a leg injury. It usually doesn't we usually don't see them back to 100% until like a year later. We saw that with Kyler, we saw that with Tony Pollard, like those guys
So
were coming
Chiefs
off of
So Chiefs fans should probably pump the brakes thinking they're getting Isaiah Pacheco back in 6 weeks.
yeah, probably.
Because
Yeah.
that was crazy. No, you're probably right, but something that me and you talked about was this offseason was bringing in Stephon Diggs would limit Tank Dell's growth as a player, and I think that we've already seen it through 2 weeks. But you are right; he
Yeah.
has hurt his leg, but I also think that he's just not getting the same looks. He dropped a really easy ball across the middle against the Bears, and he just hasn't been in his groove. And I think that probably Diggs plays a part of that. So, no, I'm right with you. But I mean, ultimately, the Texans put up 29 points week one. I was just giving them a hard time.
Yeah, I also said this already in the last one, but I think the Bears are going to probably have a top 5 defense this season. So like getting kind of shut down by them isn't
The worst thing
the end of
ever.
the world. Isn't the end of the world to me. Um, but yeah, I think this is going to be a good matchup. I'm seeing here that Justin Jefferson was on track to play. Saw that he was practicing today. Um, but I'm just interested to see if they get like this offense can keep it going. Like is Sam, I know that it's only 2 games and I'm not overreacting by any means, but like I think Sam Darnold has looked better than he ever has, which isn't saying much, I don't think, because he
Yeah.
hasn't looked great ever. But he at least looks like a competent NFL quarterback now. I wonder if that's going to wear off or if that's just a product of he finally is playing with like a really good coach and better players.
This is one of those teams that like I'm not going to talk about until week 6. Like I said with the Saints, like
Fair.
there's just so much that I need to see play out with them still that it's like, all right, like if they're a real team after 6 weeks, then we can start having those conversations. But I mean, we'll probably do it before that, but still, it's one of those teams that I'm definitely hitting the pause button on, is what I'm getting at.
So if they beat the Texans this week, is that enough? Like that's not still not enough for you to say like, oh, I think this team is legit.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, they can go and win these first 3 games, and they could just as easily lose the next 3 to like to like nobody. It's like we see it happen all the time. So yeah, they're just a team where it's like I think that the smart thing to do as of right now is to proceed with Sam Darnold with caution. Like I don't think that that's like a hot take or really that
No,
crazy. I think he's playing great football, and I'm happy for him, but ultimately, like we have to watch him do it consistently over a long period of time, which we have never seen him do as of now.
correct. Usually we get To be fair, we've gotten a lesser version of Sam Darnold than the one that we're seeing right now for like a 5-game stretch, and then it falls off. Um, but back to your point about them just like losing the next three, after the Texans, they go Packers, Jets, Lions. So
Yeah. They play a tough schedule, so
they
we'll
could go
see.
2 and they could literally lose the next 4 games.
Yeah. The last game that I want to talk about on my end, and if you have anything else, is Chiefs at Falcons. Chiefs, right now, the Falcons are 3.5-point underdogs at home. Over under sits at 46.5. Falcons defense, like, I think Jesse Bates is a game wrecker. You watched him absolutely body Smitty in it went for when he was about to catch
Phenomenal
a touchdown and jar the ball out, and I was like, oh shit. And then he obviously got the game sealing interception. I just think having a guy like that on defense matters so much. Like, he's so good and so fun to watch. I also was like kind of impressed with the Falcons defense. Like, Matt Judon obviously is gonna play for them and make an impact. He already has. And I just don't think that the Chiefs have a good offense. So I think that this game's gonna be a rock fight, kind of like all of Chiefs games are, and Harrison Bucker will nail 4 or 5 field goals, whatever that might look like. And the Falcons will be in a position to win the game, and the refs will throw a flag to get the Chiefs in a position to win. But I don't think that the Chiefs will cover this 3. They haven't covered any of their spreads like in a position like this in a while. Like, they were 6.5-point favorites at home to the Bengals. They won by 1. So I just think that the Falcons is probably the play in this situation. And I think if the Falcons win this game, we're having a real conversation about how well they're going to be doing for the rest of the season.
Yeah, this game's interesting. No Pacheco, which they brought in Kareem Hunt, I believe it was. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
he's still
really
on the P squad. He won't play this week.
I don't really feel great about anybody else in that Chiefs backfield. And Travis Kelce has looked bad. Rashee Rice is their only actual threat on the offensive side of the ball with
Seriously.
Pacheco out. Yeah, I'd be kind of nervous about this because if there's anything from that last week, like the Bengals' run defense is, well, at least week 1 wasn't great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you could at least kind of lean on that, but I don't know. I think if I'd be nervous about this game a little bit more than you'd expect if I'm a Chiefs fan. I think losing Pacheco is a really big deal for them. They're gonna have to hand the football off to that Steel fella with the crocodile.
I hate that dude. I don't even. I'm not bringing up his name. I'm not scared by the white dude and Samaje Perine backfield now. I'm not.
Yeah, Samaje Perine 39. Yeah, I don't feel great about the Chiefs in this situation either. But as we say that, Travis Kelce will probably have 7 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown, and
he just doesn't. He doesn't look good, and bro, he does so much when he like. I don't know if you watched the Bengals game, but he caught his first ball of like the game that mattered, and he like cocked it back.
Did he wipe his nose?
Like he was no, he like cocked it back like he was gonna throw it. And I was like, do you like just do like what's your deal? Like, just play football and like vibe out. He does way too much. And then in the post game presser, like afterwards, they're like, well, if you give the ball to 1-5 with any time left, like 1-5 is gonna get that done. It's just like, dude, you guys get bailed out by the refs every single week. Like, I think that this is obviously a candidate for that, but I do think I like the Falcons to win this football game.
I will say though, I think the Chiefs' kind of saving grace is I think their defense is better than the Eagles' defense, and I think they can get a pass rush on Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that part of it is probably in the Chiefs' favor, and I think that their defensive coordinator is better as well. So I think
You're
if there's
100%
anything
right.
if I think there's anything that I like most about this game, it's probably the under here.
Love it.
But I I don't know. The Falcons, that was a huge win for the Falcons. They absolutely stole a game, like I said. I don't want to see. I want the Falcons to win in this game.
Yeah,
Um, but I don't want it to be like a letdown situation after coming off a big win on Monday night.
no, definitely. Do you have any other games you want to talk about? Or are you good?
I had the Ravens Cowboys on here.
I didn't even see that. So go ahead. Here it is.
I
Ravens are 1.5 point favorites on the road against the Cowboys. Over under sits at 48.5. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't think of this game, but yeah, this game's gonna be a banger.
Yeah, I have a couple things written down here. How are the Ravens going to respond to going down 0-2 with like soul crushing loss back to back losses like that?
Mhm.
Cowboys obviously coming off a game where they just got fucking spanked, and I just don't know how to feel about the Dallas defense yet. I think they're going to be good, like I said earlier in this pod, but if they are good, like I predict, I think it might be ugly for the Ravens here because
So
I'm
do you
not
think
feeling
that they're
great
gonna
about.
lose?
I don't feel great about the Ravens' offensive line, and I think Dallas has a good defensive line, and I'm nervous about it if I'm Baltimore.
Yeah, kitchen sink game for Baltimore. Yeah, they're
They
gonna
have
win
to, yeah,
this.
they have to do they literally have to win this game, and I don't want to say it, but if they do lose, we could be approaching the end for Baltimore this season.
Right, you just want that because you know the Eagles are so screwed. No,
I literally said that
I
I think the
think that
Ravens win like 12 games. I think they were the best team in the AFC coming into this.
I want to Google something real quick because this is always a stat that like blows my mind whenever I see it. Lamar Jackson is 20-3 against the NFC in his career.
Oh yeah, he is.
And
He
I feel
smokes
like
them.
that like never really gets brought up enough. And I think that this is gonna be one of those situations that he goes and takes care of business. Lamar's gonna play Superman. It's in a four it's in a prime time 4 o'clock spot. So yeah, I definitely like Lamar to come out and take care of business and win this game. They need it.
They do. That's true. They need it way more than Dallas. I do think, obviously, and so does the book, like so does Vegas, that it's going to be close. But um, I think this is probably going to be the best game of the weekend. And
Yeah.
I feel like it's just going very under the radar because the Ravens are 0-2 and Dallas is 1-1 coming off a bad loss. But um, this is definitely going to be the best game. And like you
Yeah.
said, it's so tough to game plan for Lamar Jackson if you're an NFC team and you only see him once every 3 years.
Bro, this is the most random thing ever. I agree with you, and I didn't mean to cut you off, but I texted Colt to trade for Jordan Mason in fantasy, and he responded back and said, "I think people, I think people don't realize that Christian McCaffrey is going to be out for a little longer than people think." I'm like, "Yeah, no shit. That's why I'm trying to trade
That's
for
why you
Jordan
want him.
Mason." like, like you're acting like you have like some like crazy information that
In
you're holding in your hand.
he's Schefter.
He got put on IR. Like, yeah, he's not gonna play right now. So no, but Ravens, Cowboys, 100% agree with you. Gonna be a great game. So if you guys don't know, me and Noah, obviously, we are big Bill Simmons guys for forever. I've been listening to him for like years. We've been trying to figure out a way to like incorporate this. So we're just gonna I think we just are we just gonna take his $1 million picks idea, but like not really, and we're just gonna call it $1 million picks, or what do you think? It's
We
essentially the
should do it
same
in
thing
we should do it in
in euros.
euros.
Yeah.
Damn, let's go.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Million dollar euros.
so what we're gonna do is just pretty much take a bunch of fake money, because we should have done this to start the year, but we're gonna take a bunch of fake money, put it on bets that we like, and we're gonna keep our net total and figure out how we did at the end of the year along with our record. I have one, two, three. I have three picks that I like for this week. Do you have anything that you like?
How do we don't have to spend all 1 million, do we?
No, no.
Okay.
Do you want me to
I've
start?
got Yeah, you can go ahead and rattle yours off. How many do we want to put on each?
Doesn't I have I have the unit size I want to put on it written down.
Okay.
So my first pick of this $1 million picks, and it's going to be a special one, and it's the one that we talked about on the Thursday night, Patriots at Jets. I'm going to go Garrett Wilson anytime touchdown score plus 145, $10,000 to win $14,000 and 500. Multiple things. He's so due. And that is like
He
the
is so
dumbest
due.
reason to bet somebody. But I think at a point, there's going to be a conversation with Aaron Rodgers in this locker room where you heard him say it on national television. I don't know how many targets Garrett got, but we need to get him more. Like they know he hasn't scored a touchdown yet. It's time to get him in the end zone. And I think that they do it against the Patriots this week. So Garrett Wilson, anytime touchdown score, plus 145. I'm going to put $10,000 on that.
I have one. It's not until Monday night though. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. I'm putting 25K on James Cook anytime touchdown score against the Jacksonville
Dude.
Jaguars.
Dude, don't do it.
I'm doing
He
it.
used up all of his touchdowns, dude.
No, he didn't.
Okay. So wait, okay, so time out. You're gonna keep track of your own. I'm gonna keep track of mine.
Yeah, I've got but
Okay.
in all, we're we're keeping our number, like we're adding up our number.
Yeah, I mean, or if you
Like,
lose, you're subtracting it.
okay. I've got 25K to win $32,500.
Wow.
Now I
That's
have to
crazy.
translate this to euros.
All right, my next pick, Cardinals +3, minus 110. Cardinals are 2-0 against the spread this season. They absolutely cooked the Rams last week, and they kept it within a touchdown when they played the Bills in week 1. I really think that this Cardinals team is still slept on. I think that they're able to keep it within the 3, whether that be a push or underneath or potentially win outright. So I'm going to take the Cardinals +3. I'm going to put $150,000 on it to win $136K, $363.64. That's pick
Holy
2
shit.
for $1 million picks. I'm going to go with that's a big boy right there, but the Cardinals haven't let me down yet this season. I've cashed on them every single week, and I'm going to ride the hot hand.
All right. My next one, I'm going Los Angeles Chargers money line at +102. $15,750 to win $16,065.
Fuck yeah.
I might just start spite betting against the Steelers all
Okay.
season. I'm going to win eventually.
So your rationale behind this pick is you just want to see the Steelers lose.
I actually also think the Chargers can win this game. I think they're just the better team.
Definitely.
I think the Chargers wins are legitimate, like complete football game wins, and they can get it done on both sides of the football. They've just leaned on running it more, which I think that's their identity. I think that's great. I think if they have to throw it, they can. I don't think the Steelers can. And you'll see if the Steelers are down in this football game and have to start throwing it around, I think it could get ugly.
I respect that. Well, yeah, they can't throw, so for sure. My last pick for week 3 is going to be Chargers Steelers all under at 29.5 plus 230. There was 28 points scored versus the Falcons, 19 points scored versus the Broncos. We talked about this game. It's going to be a rock fight. They're both going to be running the shit out of the football, and it's going to be a physical game. And I'm going to be putting $150K on that to win $345K. That's my Ruby Rose Mega Max of the weekend. Plus 230, under 29.5. I think it's going to be probably the worst bet I've ever made in my life. But every single time you watch the Steelers game, it's the worst game you've ever watched in your life. So you might as well just throw down something that is unlikely to happen because their over unders on the books are always way too high.
Yeah. Yep, I agree with you.
It's almost like they're like shocked Like they're almost like there's no way they're going to score under 30 points again this week, are they? And they do every time.
All right. My last one.
Let's hear it.
It's a 2-leg teaser.
Oh,
Chicago Bears +8.
no.
New England Patriots +13.
No. No. Okay.
I'm putting
Who ruins that bet for you? Like right before you say the amount you're placing on it, who do you think loses that bet for you?
the Patriots.
See, I think the Bears lose that bet for you.
The Bears
the
have kept
Bears
it
play?
within 8. They play the Colts.
They're gonna get smoked for no reason, bro.
I know it's gonna suck, but I'm putting
I'm just
40K
kidding.
on it.
Okay, I love that. I actually do like that pick.
I just think the Bears are like, unless they are going up a team that is completely better than them on both sides of the football, I think they're good enough to keep it within like 8 points a touchdown every game. Like, and I don't think the Colts on offense, I don't think Anthony Richardson is completely consistent enough yet, and the Colts run defense is horrible. I also don't know if DeForest Buckner is going to play, so that's not great for the Colts either. So yeah, I like the Bears to keep it within a touchdown.
DeForest Buckner, I mean, what has that guy done in the last decade?
He's a starter on the defensive line, and I feel like anytime you have a defensive starter out on your D line that's already bad, it's probably not great.
You make a compelling point.
Yeah. So I'm going 40K to win $28,006.21.
It sounds like we have a potential for a pretty profitable weekend.
It sounds like we're going to retire.
Are you going to be betting these in real life?
I'm actually going to bet the Patriots Bears one. And I like all of these enough to bet them in real life. I'm just not putting this dollar amount on them.
Well, it's because you don't have it. You're broke.
My money's all tied up in real estate.
So what I have at stake this week is $310K for a possible win payout of $495K, almost $500,000. I'm looking to start week 3 on a high note. We should have did this at the start of week 1, but we were throwing around some ideas of what to do. So Bill Simmons, thank you for the idea. We will rebrand it at some point and make our own name for it, but that's the root of all of this, and that's our guy, so fuck it.
I'm doing the math here on my... So I've got $80,750 on the line to win plus 16065 plus 28,006.21. 80,750 to win $76,571.21.
Dude, what if we just go cold, bro? Like, what if we literally just go cold and lose it all?
Why would you say that?
I don't know. I'm just saying. Hey,
it's literally
right.
This is our first week. We can't go cold.
All right, brother. Well, that's all I got.
Me too. I'm about to go get this run in. I will say, I forgot to bring this up at the beginning. It's annoying how quickly you go out of running shape if you don't run for like a month.
It could be 2 weeks. You're torched.
You're torched. Losing your running stamina it goes away faster than I think any other athletic ability.
Yeah, correct.
It's insane.
Correct.
I ran like 2.5 miles the other day, and humble brag, and I'm sore as shit.
Yeah, but how good does it feel when your lungs are on fire?
It does feel great.
It feels really good.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm about to go. I'm about to go run and see what happens.
Have fun. See ya.
All right, go Birds.
White cloud.